Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmaduel.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today I'm going to do a quick rundown of my Magnet Warrior deck that I just threw together. I've been playing around with it, and I'm having a lot of fun. Now, it's not the most competitive deck, but man, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. There's a few more pieces that I want to add to it, and I've gotten some good suggestions on Twitter through some of the listeners and some of my buddies there on Twitter. So I just kind of want to go through a lot of the pieces with you. So the first major player here is Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior. Right now I've run 2 copies of it. It's a level 8 monster here. I think, yeah, that's correct. Level 8 rock monster, 3500 attack, 3850 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 alpha, beta, and gamma the Magnet Warrior from your hand and or field. You contribute this card, then target 1 alpha, beta, and gamma in your graveyard and special summon them as well. Depending on the situation, this is a really good card. That's basically the whole point of this deck. Is this is your boss monster. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 copies of it now. So anyway, this is from there you have 3 copies of Gamma the Magnet Warrior, which is a 1500 attack, 1800 defense, plain vanilla rock, just regular monster there. That's the super rare. I know it's been very difficult to get, but in the recent YuGiMoto event, if you were able to duel against Yugi 15 times, you did get 1 copy of Gamma the Magnet Warrior. So if you're fortunate enough to get 3, I would highly recommend running 3 in this deck as well. Then you have Beta the Magnet Warrior, level 4, rock, plain vanilla, normal monster, 1700 attack, 1600 defense. So that's your attack monster there. Then I run 3 copies of Alpha the Magnet Warrior, level 4 rock, 1400 attack, 1700 defense, so it's got a better defense. Not as good as Gamma, since Gamma has the 1800 defense, but hey, still not so bad. So between 3 copies of each of those, you also may want to pick up from the card trader a few copies of Delta the Magnet Warrior. It's a level 4 rock, 1600 attack, 1400 defense. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send 1 level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish 3 level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monsters from your graveyard, except Delta the Magnet Warrior, and special summon Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can only use each effect of Delta the Magnet Warrior once per turn. So this card is great just in the sense that if you're loading your graveyard with different Magnet Warriors, it doesn't matter if they're 1 of each because you're ignoring the summoning conditions. Delta, once it leaves the field to the graveyard, you're able to activate that effect to get a Valkyrion onto the field. Whether or not it's in your hand, it doesn't matter. So right now I only have 1 copy of Delta the Magnet Warrior in this deck. I'd like to get maybe 1 or 2 more because its effect is so darn good. But yeah, it's really solid. So as far as support cards are concerned, just to keep things going, I have 2 copies of Sorceress Spell Wall. It is the field spell card where all monsters you control gain 300 attack during your turn only, and all monsters you control gain 300 defense during your opponent's turn only. So if I want to keep these cards on the field, especially something like Gamma the Magnet Warrior with its high defense, I'll leave it in defense position at 1800, have my Sorceress Spell Wall on the field. And that way, during my opponent's turn, if they think they're going to run over it with a strong 1900 attack or 2000 attack monster, they're going to run into some bad luck because Gamma's defense will be 2100. So same effect type thing with Alpha the Magnet Warrior. It'll have a 2000 defense if I leave it in defense position. But also for Beta the Magnet Warrior, with its 1700 attack, it'll have a pretty formidable attack power, having Sorcerer's Spell Wall on the field, giving it about a 2000 attack. So you're able to actually do a lot of good work with these 3 cards with Sorcerer's Spell Wall on the field. So also what I run, since so many of these monsters, we got 9 monsters in this deck out of 20 cards, or I guess in this case I got a 21 card deck. So 9 out of the 21 cards are normal monsters. I run 2 copies of Order to Charge. Would I run 3? Yeah, absolutely, but I don't have 3. Order to Charge is the quick play spell card where you select 1 face-up normal monster except a token on your side of the field when you activate this card. When this card resolves, tribute the selected normal monster and destroy 1 monster on your opponent's side of the field. So If your opponent has just a card that is way too darn strong, like say for example a Master of Oz or a Blue Eyes White Dragon, it doesn't matter if you have Order to Charge, because you just take any of your Magnet Warriors, activate Order to Charge, tribute them, and destroy the really strong monster on the other side of the field. Hopefully you could relay that into a combo by having your Delta the Magnet Warrior later on, taking some of these monsters out of your graveyard and getting your Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior on the field. So this could work positively in more than one way. So that's why Order to Charge is definitely a staple for this type of deck, just given the types of monsters that you have. What I also do is run 2 copies of YuGiOh. It's the ultra rare spell card where you target 2 face-up monsters on the field, have the attack of the first monster, and if you do, add that lost attack to the second monster. These effects last until the end phase. So either way, this is just another way for me to get over much stronger monsters with any of my Magnet Warrior cards, if I need to. As well, I also run 2 copies of Enemy Controller, because I only have 2 copies. If you don't know by now, you activate one of the following effects. First one, you target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and change that target's battle position. The second effect is tribute 1 monster, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of that target until the end phase. So at least what this would do is, say if you have a Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior on the field, you're able to summon out one of your other monsters like Beta the Magnet Warrior or whoever. Then you can activate Enemy Controller, take control of your opponent's monster. That way, if it's a face-up, possibly a strong monster, that could be a game ender, because between Valkyrion's 3,500 attack and whatever your opponent's monster is, that's game over, because I'm assuming they'll have around 4,000 life points or less. So this is just a really good win condition there. One extra card that I like to run that is just a nice piece to help me get over more monsters, and this was recommended out on Twitter as well, was Metal Morph, the trap card, super rare. Target 1 face-up monster on the field, equip this card to that target. It gains 300 attack and defense. If it attacks, it gains attack equal to half of the attack of the attack target during damage calculation only. So in effect, it also acts like a YuGiOh, but on a turn-by-turn basis, which is so much better in my opinion. So, Metal Morph is a must-have. I would love to have more copies of it if I could, but I just have 1. So, anyway, that's it for this deck. As far as what skill I use, right now I'm playing around with the skills, but for now I use balance. That way I get a nice even, seems like I get a nice even spread. I'll probably end up starting with 1 or 2 spell cards in my hand, and at least 1 or 2 of the Magnet Warriors. Sometimes I'll end up with Valkyrion in my hand, but I don't see that all too often with this deck because of the balance skill. So I may end up doing that, or I may end up using this with Restart. That way I can see, get 2 opportunities to get a really good hand to start the duel with. So overall, I mean, this is just a really fun deck to play in. I'm sure there are much better ways for it to be more competitive, and I'm sure that since this last Yugimoto event, there's probably quite a few of you who have been building these decks as well. So I want to hear from you what tweaks you've made to the Magnet Warriors deck to make it more competitive. Reach out to me on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk. And I would definitely want to revisit this deck and revisit this topic with some of your ideas and some of your combos that you're potentially using with the Magnet Warrior deck. So this is just a really fun one. I love it a lot, and this is one that I will be playing with a bit more frequently now that I have more pieces. So anyway, with that, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.